Folks, thank you so much for joining us today on the Passive Accredited Investor Show. We're really, really glad you're here. We're going to forego all the formalities that we normally do in the beginning because we have an incredibly important guest here this morning, Jeff Watson. He is the bomb. He's in the middle of all the things that are going on. Jeff, I do want you to tell a little bit about some of the things that you've done working with our government, changing things for us. So I do want you to hit on that, but he doesn't have a whole lot of time today, and we want to suck his brain dry while he's here. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Jeff Watson. Jeff, we're so glad to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here, Wendy and Bill and everybody else on your amazing team. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you for working me in on this schedule. I really appreciate it.
Oh, we were thrilled that you were able to do this for us. And, you know, we're all kind of shaking in our shoes. We're a fund. We have self-directed IRA money in our fund. If this goes through, that's, you know, close to $5 million we'd have to give back. And then reading in even deeper into it, allowing the IRA investors to only do 10% of a deal. I mean, it's insane. The whole thing is just insane. So, Jeff, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you just talk. You did a great presentation on Facebook, and we just want to expand that.
All right. So I know your amazing tech team could link back to that if you want to, but let me just do two things very quickly because you asked me to do this. My name's Jeff Watson. I'm an attorney licensed to practice in the state of Ohio. That also lets me talk about federal taxation issues, and that's what's the topic here today. Mm-hmm. So in the background perspective, some of you are going to say, well, Jeff, you know, what have you been doing in the past? Well, let's see. About 9 years ago, successfully lobbied on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. regarding a resale restriction that Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae were doing. They were wanting to stretch it out to 120 days. I got it pushed down to 30 days. The language that you see on a deed today coming out of a government-backed foreclosure that says you can't resell it for 30 days, I wrote that.
Awesome.
They wanted it out to 90 to 120. We got it down to 30. Then a couple years ago, I participated in the legislative efforts to change the law in the state of Ohio regarding landlord-tenant issues with the difference between pets and service animals. We got that clarified, got a huge issue taken away from the groups that were extorting money out of landlords. And currently I have co-authored and worked with Congressman Vicente Gonzalez, Democrat of Texas, on H.R. 5013, which is the Affordable Home Ownership Act to increase the number of transactions a seller financer can do. And we're going to circle back to Congressman Gonzalez and the people on his staff that I enjoy working with a little bit later.
Awesome.
But right now, if you use money in real estate, if you have an IRA, if you need money in real estate, if you flip houses, if you invest in notes, if you lend money, if you do anything like that, then you know somebody, or you're doing business, or you yourself are doing business with a self-directed IRA. You're using a self-directed IRA. Right. And there is pending in Washington, D.C. right now this monstrosity of a bill called the Budget Reconciliation Act that is going to cripple the self-directed IRA industry and literally cap every IRA in America. And I'm going to get you the four big things that are going on with this bill. Number one, this bill limits all IRAs to no more than $10 million. I'd like to have $10 million in my IRA. I'm working towards it, but I don't want the lid to be on there. I don't want that lid on there for anybody. The second thing it's doing, which makes no sense to me, is it's capping and stopping conversions from traditional to Roth. It doesn't matter. No more backdoor conversions, no more conversions of any kind, shape, or form. Makes no sense to me. The Treasury is raking in piles of money as people convert from their tax-infested traditional IRAs to Roth IRAs.
Right.
But Congress has got another axe to grind. Now, here are the two that really kill us. There is a section, I believe, in the Reconciliation Act. I think it's section 138312. I close my eyes to try and remember better, but I think it's 138312 that literally says IRAs cannot invest like an accredited investor can invest. And if an IRA has so invested, they must get out of the deal by December 31st, 2023. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a bad idea. It's for multiple reasons. Funds like yours are going to be horribly hit. And then what are people going to do with this money? How are you going to get the liquidity? I mean, I just see a tsunami effect out of this thing coming. It's going to be a horrible thing. And then there's the next one, which is section 138314, which is so poorly written that the best way I can describe it is no IRA will ever be involved in the ownership of any entity whatsoever.
More than 10%, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's no more than 10%, but we don't know what they really mean by that, because then they've got the direct and the indirect, and they say it's a terribly written piece of legislation. But it goes back to my big point. Some of what they're saying is, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, I read it today. Oh, we want to level the playing field for everybody. No, you don't. You're mad. You're mad as all get out that your buddies on Wall Street don't have access to all this money. And you're jealous as all get out over one guy that got away with it when he took $2,000 and turned it into a couple of billion.
Talk about that for just a minute, because a lot of people don't understand how that happened.
A gentleman by the name of Peter Thiel was one of 5 guys from Russian origin that co-founded PayPal. They all 5 invested $2,000 in a self-directed IRA to buy shares of PayPal when it was a brand new company. When the IRS audited it, the IRS did not know how to read, enforce, or apply 26 USC 4975 E2E. If they'd have known it like I know it, like my buddy John Heyer knows it, like my buddy Quincy Long knows it, they'd have popped the dude. It'd have been all over.
Yeah.
No issue. But they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to read and apply the rule. They'd have popped him then, big money to them, and Peter would have never gone on and done more deals and grown that thing so huge. So, anyhow, what we're doing now, and this is really important, and I've shared it with you guys. I emailed it with you. There's a handout I want everybody to get, and I want you to share it. It's got 2 really important links in there. One to my buddy John Heyer's website, handsoffmyira.com. John has put that thing together in a heartbeat with his buddy Hector, and those guys are heroes for how hard they're working. I mean, John's working harder than I am. I can tell, because he's exhausted when we talk. Hands Off My IRA gives you more information than I can convey. The second thing is there's a link in that handout that will give everybody, from the comfort of their own home, the ability to directly contact their elected representative, and they're both members of both senators, and say, listen, and we preload the script. I wrote the script, we preloaded it. So it's a matter of click, fill in your own address, click, and boom, you did it in 3 minutes. Okay, so there's no excuse. You can contact your congressional representative. You can contact your 2 U.S. senators and say, pull those 2 sections out of the bill. Pull them, get them out. Get out 138 with 312 and 138 314. Get them out of the bill. Okay, and it'll let life get back to normal for us. Okay, now there's one more thing. And this is the politics of Washington, D.C. And I'm going to get a little wonky here, and then I'll open it up to whatever questions you want to ask me. This whole monstrosity is being done as a budget reconciliation because the liberal Democrats do not have enough votes to get it through the Senate on a 60-vote majority. That's a 50-50 split in the Senate right now, so they need all 50 senators to come along on board, and there's 2 of them that are dragging their feet. We need to encourage those 2 senators to hold the line. And then in the House of Representatives, nobody will tell you this, but did you know that Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker, has only a 3-vote majority in the House right now?
I didn't realize that.
There are only 3 more Democrat votes than there are Republican votes. So if she loses 3 people, she's done. She can't move a bill.
Praise the Lord.
And I've identified 8 people that are Democrats that are sympathetic to our message. 2 of the 8, I considered myself to have a good working relationship with their offices. Vicente Gonzalez, who I already mentioned earlier, who is a friend of real estate investors. Congressman Gonzalez, Democrat, Texas. He is a friend of real estate investors. He has introduced multiple pieces of legislation on that, and his neighboring district friend, Henry Cuellar, has co-sponsored every one of those bills. Now I'm going to give you some, I'm just going to be straight up. MoveOn.org, I don't care what your politics are, but MoveOn.org has already circulated emails saying, we don't like Henry Cuellar. He is not a true Democrat. We're going to run against him in the primary. We want to knock him out. And I got to tell you, Henry is a amazingly decent human being, in addition to being the most highly educated, most degreed member of Congress. Okay.
Wow.
The man holds a law degree. The man holds a PhD degree. The man has got a degree in economics. He is, and here's why they hate him. Here's why they hate him. He loves God and he's pro-life.
Wow.
That's why they hate him. Okay. So those are some of the people that we're going to saying, please oppose this bill until they take this stuff out. I think the bill's a bad idea. I think it's a terrible train wreck of an idea to try and cram through $3.5 trillion more of spending when you have no idea how to pay for it. I mean, I'm going to flat out tell you folks, if this thing goes through, buy every piece of real estate you can get your hands on. If you can't get your hands on it, get an option on it. When will this bill come into effect? Some of it will be effective upon enactment. That means when President Biden signs it, it will become effective. The IRA stuff will get phased in either when it gets signed or at the end of the year or in 2 years, depending on what we're talking about here. But literally, I've shut down a deal that I was getting ready to do. I talked about it last week, Wendy, when we were in Richmond. This deal I'm going to be doing for my granddaughter, I can't do it because of this pending bill.
Wow.
My little 5-week-old granddaughter can't have a deal where she can buy a house as part of an LLC with her CESA account because of this bill.
That's crazy. Now, the 8 people that you were talking about, if I remember on your Facebook page this morning, you said there was a link you could go to get specifically to those 8 people.
And I shared that with you in the thing I mailed over to your team.
Okay, great.
My assistant, Debbie, spent a day double checking names, addresses, phone numbers, fax numbers, emails, and we've got it all in there. And it's up to date within the last 24 hours. I've shared it with you so you can share it with everybody you possibly can, and how you can contact them by email and by fax and by phone. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, don't try snail mail. It's woeful. Email. Fax and phone, email, fax and phone, and everything has got to be, you got to pull these sections out of this horrible reconciliation bill. The easiest way to get started is to go on the link that's on the screen right now regarding voter voice. That will let you, from the comfort of your home in 3 minutes or so, dial in, bang, you can contact your elected representative and your 2 U.S. senators. I've preloaded the text. We're good to go.
That's awesome. I already did it. Just real quick, I already did it, and I got a return back from my congressman already. How cool is that?
That is amazing. That's amazing.
Responded and said, "Hey, I'm with Ralph Norman with South Carolina."
Well, I live in North Carolina, and my congressman didn't say squat. But he did get the email.
Call him again. Call him again.
By the way, we have that link in the chat. So you don't have to try and take a picture of the screen. Yep. It's over there in the chat side. You can find.
It is this. Yep. I'm sorry to cut you off, Bill. Yes, sure, Don. Yes, it is the exact same list of names in handsoffmyira.com, because that's where John and I have been collaborating. I met with a lobbyist. John met with his lobbyist people. We compared lists as to who was the top ones to go after. I had 6, John had 2. We put the top 8. And then if you're feeling really aggressive, if you're really angry, there's another 9 more people to go after, all in that same list. Get them all. Get them all.
Yeah.
Jeff, there's 6 more legislative days left in this session. So I'm assuming it's not going to go through in the next 6 days. However, that doesn't mean it's going to be stalled. I mean, it doesn't mean it won't go through. They'll just save it till the next time they meet, right?
So here's where we're looking at. They've got 6 days to pass a piece of legislation to raise the federal debt ceiling.
Right.
Some people are saying if you don't pass the reconciliation bill with the huge infrastructure package in it, I won't vote for the debt ceiling. Some people are saying we got to do the debt ceiling first and then the infrastructure. So we've got all sorts of squabbling, but I'm going to tell you this right now, and I want everybody to listen to me. Folks, this is not an uphill fight. This is a 50-50 chance we win this thing. If we can shut this thing down over the next 6 and 7 days, which means you have to take action today and tomorrow, because I bet you there's going to be a vote on Monday. We've got to let our voices be heard. If we can get this thing shut down to where they don't have enough votes to pass it, we have dodged a bullet for a little while longer. But this doesn't mean anything more than we won the battle, but we still got a huge war to go fight. Okay?
Right.
And the war is going to be this. We've got to keep this thing from passing. We've got to keep these things out until the House flips in about 14 or 15 months, because the House is going to flip. And so we got to hang on to this thing for like 15 months, and then we got a chance to breathe.
So let's look at worst case scenario. What if it passes? What do we do? What
Wendy,
what are we going to do?
I have got some answers for that, but I don't want to talk about it right now. Okay. I'm going to tell you, you don't have to totally freak out and panic. Yeah, there's some problems, but I got some answers on it. And I've said the same thing to Quincy. Quincy, I see solutions. I don't want to talk about them right now because I want to talk about winning this. I don't want to talk about how to triage the wounded. I want to talk about winning the battle.
Right. I'm with you on that. And Quincy is doing some kind of event at 2 p.m. today.
Yep. John Heyer was on another call this morning at 11 o'clock. Quincy's doing something at 2 o'clock. I mean, we are relentless on this. I mean, I was yesterday. I'm today. I'll be tomorrow. We're not stopping, because this matters to everybody. This matters to everybody. I am watching people who don't normally like to even look at each other in RIAs, joining hands and fighting together on this one. Okay.
That's right.
Because this matters to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're part of National RIA. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of Quest. It doesn't matter if you like Equity Trust, Kingdom Trust, my IRA. It doesn't matter who you like. Okay. Right. We are all in this together. I mean, who had that slide last week at Jim Ingersoll's event with the boat in the water where the guys were talking about, I'm glad they're not drilling holes on my end of the boat?
Was that Jim Lennon that was doing, or Rich Lennon?
That was Rich Lennon. That was Rich Lennon. That is so appropriate here, folks. We are all in this boat together. So I'll be blunt. If I find out that somebody comes to me and says, well, how do I restructure my deals now that this is passed? And oh, by the way, Jeff, I just got too busy and I never contacted my representative. Yeah. I'm sorry. Don't even talk to me. Don't even talk to me. Because if you can't take 3 minutes out of your schedule and mute Netflix and pick up a computer, a laptop, a handheld device, and go to that link and do it, I got no use for you. If you don't have time to hit a few links and dial a few numbers and send a few emails, got nothing for you. Yep,
we've been cheap for so long. We have to get out of this mode.
The other thing I'm going to tell you is Corinne Hall, who runs an IRA administrator out in California. God bless her. What a hard job that's got to be. Shared a news article with me today that even the reporter had to admit the average investor is furious over this, and Congress is hearing about it. And I'm going to tell you, it's got to pour it on, because this is how we stopped the eviction moratorium. you remember how the eviction moratorium went away back in July?
Right.
Mhm.
And Congress went on recess, like they're fixing to do in about a week, according to Bill.
Mhm.
And they didn't pass a piece of legislation to try and extend the eviction moratorium. That's
Right.
because rank and file real estate investors blew them up over the phone and over the emails. I'm not talking violence. I'm talking about lots of communication. Okay, just in case the NSA is monitoring my call.
Yeah.
we filled their email boxes. We filled their phone boxes with "Don't you dare extend this thing." And they didn't. And so when investors all come together, when they coalesce, it happens. We got to be heard. Okay.
That's right. And I love what you said this morning on the Facebook, that if you tell 4 friends and get them to tell 4 friends, we're covered. We're covered. That's really all it takes. So as soon as you did that, I posted it on 15 different pages that I know.
Yep.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing. You do a great job explaining it in layman's terms of exactly what's going to happen. And I think people think, oh, I'm not a real estate investor, it's not going to matter. It will hurt our entire economy, like devastate, I believe, because it's hitting, whether you have an IRA or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to affect you.
If you like limited choice, then don't do anything, because you're going to have limited choice to capital. You're going to have limited choices of where you can invest your retirement accounts.
That's right.
And that's exactly what we're getting here, is just they are directing where you need to go to get loans, where you need to go to raise capital, where you need to go to do your investing,
where you need to rent your home.
Yeah.
It's
a cradle to grave document.
Right. This is the first big, bold move to take away Roth IRAs and eventually force everyone into Wall Street and government-backed security investing only. That's where, if we don't stop it here, that's where it's going to go.
That's right.
So we got to stop it here. We got to stop it here. It's important that we get this done. I've got a couple of minutes left. If there's a question that you want to ask me, go ahead. But I've got another call just starting out. Am I coming back next week? It all depends upon if Wendy and Bill want me back, and depends upon what else is happening. Okay.
Consider it done.
Yeah, we'll hold a spot open for you. Yeah.
We will definitely reserve that for you. Go ahead, John.
I do have one question. So they're proposing all of this, these changes. Are they proposing, like, how much money is this supposed to, like, bring into the government? Like, what's the difference between what it's bringing in and what it's costing?
Okay. Great question. They're trying to raise $3.5 trillion. This particular piece of legislation, they estimate, will raise $100 million. It ain't a drop of water in an ocean of what they need to do.
So they're raising they want to do $3.5 trillion, and this can bring in about $100 million.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And
if
when you begin to understand the distance between $1 million and $1 billion, and then from $1 billion to $1 trillion, you realize we're talking about little specks of fly residue on a huge mound in the middle of the forest. Okay.
So it's not about money then. So we can all scratch that off. Anyone who was thinking that, you can scratch that off your list. It's not about revenue.
It's about control.
Yeah.
It's about control. It's about control, and it's about one last thing. There are a segment of our elected representatives that are absolutely indignant that people like Peter Thiel have got this big of a Roth IRA, or people like Senator Mitt Romney, who I don't trust, I'm sorry, has that big of a traditional IRA. Believe me, they'd be picking on Mitt, but Peter Thiel is a more attractive target, okay?
Right.
Because Peter Thiel got to $5 billion in his Roth IRA, okay? And candidly, he shouldn't have gotten there because he didn't play by a certain rule. And I mean, Quincy and I have talked about this. Hire and I have talked about this. We all have a different opinion on it. And Quincy and I are basically flat out saying it was a prohibited transaction. He couldn't have done it.
Right.
But anyhow, all right. So, okay, got 2 minutes left, and then I got to bounce. Okay.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you carving out time for us today. We can't wait to see you next week.
All right.
Thank you for everything you're teaching us, and we'll get on it.
There's more information constantly going up on these websites that are up on the screen, on my blog and on John's website. There's more information. So folks, check it out. Check it out. Stay involved. And please do me a favor. Last thing. After you contact your member of Congress, after you contact your U.S. senators, and after you've talked to and contacted the important 8, please let Wendy and Bill know you did it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Please let them know you did it. All right. I got to run. Peace.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
You let us know that you did it, and
Yeah.
there might be a discount on your next loan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
We can trade that out.
I think we might be able to do that.
I'm willing, that's for sure. Folks, I want you all to understand how truly important it is that we follow through with that website that Jeff gave us on how we can get some letters out and some calls out and some emails out, of course, not snail mail, to our local representatives.
Yep.
Because if we really band together, they'll listen to us.
Yeah.
If we band together and do this,
Like
they
Jeff
will
said,
listen.
it's 50-50 right now. We just have to make enough noise to where
That's
we
right.
just get it over onto our side.
That's right.
Think about the ripple effect in the real estate industry alone. Let's assume that you have 30% IRA participation in property syndications.
Right.
And these people are by law have to get out of these syndications.
Mm-hmm.
That means the sponsor will have to sell assets in order to pay these people off.
Yeah,
Right.
either raise cash or sell assets, and selling assets is going to be the.
And so if everyone has to sell assets, or a lot of people have to sell assets quickly, what happens to the price of those assets?
Right. Right.
Paul White asked, do
Excuse me.
you have a
Do we have a link to the Big 8?
It's on handsoffmyira.com. Yeah, if you scroll down on handsoffmyira.com, he has links to the Big 8, and then he has an additional 9 or 10 that you can contact as well.
Yeah.
And you can just download their contact information right off the website.
And what were those numbers again
It
of the
was
sections?
138
They got them up there.
31. Okay.
You don't have to. Don't strain yourself.
I have it written.
And I see John Spears is on here. I haven't talked to you in a long time, John. I'm glad to see you, my friend.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're really, really glad that you folks chose to join us today. It's really, really important that we don't stop here. We've got to move forward and take some action. This is why we are in a free country. It's still free as of today, as far as I know.
I know, but inflation's going to hit.
Yeah, well, it's a free country, and we need to keep it that way because
Yes.
we've been sheep for too long. Make a difference today. I'm begging you, make a difference today.
Yep. Again, as Jeff pointed out, with the amount of money this is going to raise, and Jonathan reiterated, this is not about money.
It's not.
This is about controlling
Mhm.
you and your access to not only capital, but your investing choices.
Yeah, it'll make a big difference. One of the things, and I didn't get to even say this to Jeff, one of the things that it says in this document is that if you are a private money lender, somebody who's lending out money out of your self-directed IRA, you cannot be in any deal deeper than 10% of the deal.
Well, so yeah, you can't be in the deal anymore, and you can't own more than 10% of any entity. That means checkbook IRAs gone.
Gone.
You can't
Totally
do that.
gone. That's right.
Yeah.
If you want to try, and if you're an investor and a real estate investor and you want to raise $100,000 so that you can go and do a house, and you could usually have, one person do that. Well, you're going to get 10.
Yep.
And then
And, oh,
if
by the
10 are
way,
in first position,
If you have fractionalized loans where you have that many people in one deal, guess what? It now becomes a security,
that's
and
right.
which
And
means you have to
can't
be
do it.
accredited to get
That's
in it.
right. That's right.
Which means you can't do
It's a
it.
vicious
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah, they've got us by the short hairs.
All right, so please contact your congressman. You got all the information right there. This thing, once it gets permanent on YouTube, all that stuff will be there as well.
Yeah.
Please let us know that you contacted your Congress people,
Stomach's growling. It's
and
time for lunch.
tell 4 other people, let you know as well.
Like, share, subscribe.
Hang
Please
on.
share this, right?
Thank you so much for joining us on the Passive Accredited
We don't have to
Investor
read
Show.
everything.
We are Carolina Capital Management. We make loans to real estate investors in the Southeast. If you are interested in making a loan that does have anything to do with an IRA, click on the Apply Now tab. If you are a passive investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, sign up for Wednesday with Wendy. See you guys next week.
Thanks so much.